Hey, it's me again. It's a bit odd. If you heard the other one we did recently, Lee was poorly. Lee's still poorly. You're probably hearing this a week or so apart, but Lee's only been ill for another extra 2 hours because we're having a busy podcast day today. He's still texting, telling me how I should do this. But we've already had Neil, Deputy CEO, standing in. And today, now, our stand-in is none other than the voice of the podcast itself. You'll recognize it when you hear it. It's Lucy. Lucy, hello, how are you? And please introduce yourself.
Hi, it's good to be here. I'm Lucy. I'm one of the podcast gremlins. I've crawled from one side of the screen, one side of the microphone rather, to the other side. So I'll be joining as Gwilym's sidekick today.
And can I just compliment you, I can see it on screen here, on your amazing audio setup. What's going on? You look like a BBC broadcaster.
That is my goal. I think it's all part of my plan to steadily infiltrate the podcast. I thought one step, Lee's gone. I'll break out the microphone and and now I've got my own. Yes.
It's even got one of those guards, hasn't it, to stop you spitting all over it?
Yes. Yeah. Much needed, clearly.
My poor screen is drenched here, so I think I could do with one as
well. Lee Davis and Gwilym Roberts are the Two IPs in a pod, and you are listening to a podcast on intellectual property, brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Patent Attorneys.
Lovely. Well, we've been having a series now of sessions about some of the candidates or applicants for the Earthshot Prize this year. And before we dive into that, Lucy, do you want to tell listeners what the Earthshot Prize is all about?
Yeah, of course. So the Earthshot Prize is something that CIPA has been involved in since the beginning. But the last few years, we've started to really make that more known. We're now an official nominator. So to start with a bit more about the prize, it was started by Prince William in 2020. There are 5 prizes with £1 million awarded to the 5 categories: protect and restore nature, clean our air, revive our oceans, build a waste-free world, fix our climate. So every single year, CIPA provides a team of volunteers to perform IP due diligence on the shortlist of finalists. Because we have such a big reach into the international innovation world, so as something you've said so many times, we have contact with every innovator in the UK and beyond. So last year we had 3 finalists, including the winner for Build a Waste-Free World, NOPLA, and hopefully this year we'll have a few more.
Excellent. Of course, NOPLA did that fantastic podcast not long ago, so it's
yes, they did.
Yeah, and they brought us worth. They really loved everything about it. They had a great time, even down to the televised event and everything else, which I caught on BBC or wherever it was. It was amazing. It was on telly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked all sparkly, shiny. Yeah, wish we'd been there.
which takes us to our guests. So I'll start off, Guy, if you could introduce yourself and give us a bit of an idea about what you're up to, what your product is, and what your background is about.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Guy Taylor. My product is hangers for the garment business, ladies, men's and children's wear. We've been in business since 2010 after getting our IP approved. And basically our aim is to cut down plastic, reduce our carbon footprint wherever possible, and be able to sell a hanger a lot cheaper than the actual big multiples are buying at the moment, to give them some incentives to make sure that they look at our products and think this is worthwhile. So in particular cases at the moment, we're sort of at least 75% cheaper than their hangers that they're buying. And we're creeping around the world. We're working with people like Marks and Spencer's, Auchan in France, all the way through Europe. We are actually working with CNA, people like that, which got very large retail, very high consumption on hangers, plastic, and also different components. We have our hanger, which is actually got made of just PP, so it's very easy to recycle, to put it back into the system. Maybe not to necessarily make hangers, but to make bins and other things like that. So we've been working on being eco-friendly, very eco-friendly compared with our competitors since 2011 when we first sold it into the stores. And the reaction was absolutely fantastic. That was through Primark. And that's basically the short, detailed version of it. There's lots more I could tell you.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to that. Don't worry at all. No, but you're going back on a few points there, including one of the most big things is actually getting on the market in the first place. And that sounds like something you've absolutely nailed.
Yeah. Yes. But what it is because I was in the fashion business anyway, I knew to go to see some of the buyers. And the trouble with old heads is they don't really want to change. And when you're looking at what the clip hanger does to the business was invented, I think, around about 2000, and everybody was starting to use it. But it's got 5 different components. It's very difficult to ship it because of the shape of it. So you use up so much air. You're actually shipping in air rather than in hangers. For instance, again, 250 of the normal jean clip hanger, you can get 2,000 of ours in the same box. So we don't ship air, we ship product. So once we're talking to the customer, sometimes the buyers, as in the buying the garments, don't understand it, but certainly the hanger buyers do understand it, because that's one of the biggest problems. So we cut down in our container, we would put 2,000 pieces in that same box. So we cut down on cardboard, cut down on tape. We cut down on lots of things. And I know it sounds stupid, but that tape costs money. So if they've got to put...
Absolutely.
So if we've got 2,000, that's 8 boxes with tape on it, 8 cardboard boxes, obviously. So we cut all that down, which then means that there's more space for just that big box to go in with the 2,000 pieces in than 8 250s. So everywhere we look, we've looked at it to reduce down costs, space, and maximise what we've got. So a full container will ship something in the region of our hangers around about just under 1 million pieces. Whereas a full container, we're sort of one of our containers, 20 other containers of the clip hanger. So it's just a big win-win situation. And then if you actually work out the money from 5 cents, 6 cents of one of my hangers to 23 cents of the clip hanger, how much money are they saving? So we found the best way of trying to put this across to try and save the planet, if you like, is we have to find something that replaces what's already in use that can be cut down all those problems. Everybody talks about plastic, but if you take plastic out of your motor car, you haven't got anything in it. So plastic is very relevant. So you just have to make sure you're wise with how you use it. And now nearly everybody is trying to knock on our door, and we're allowing them to, but they were only just starting to look at hangers, how to reduce down the hangers. Before it was just, well, we got a garment that's now pure cotton, that's this, that's that, and all down on the product that you're going to buy. But it's actually how do you get that product to the store? Is it in a polythene bag? Do you need it in a polythene bag? No. So what hanger are you going to put it on? Well, if we put it on the Janger, we're going to save excellent amount of shipping, and it goes actually on the garment and folds inside the garment, so they can even reduce down the size of the boxes when they ship the garment from the factory to their warehouses. So it's all of our products. We've had it tested, and by Sheffield University, Parapack, and we did that 2018, and we did that and had it rubber stamped so that when we went to people, they would understand that we're serious players, and actually had it all tested. And what we say is true. This is not us just coming out with plucking anything out of the sky. It's actually it's truth. So it's done very well, and a lot of customers have tried it. A lot of customers have then tried to copy our designs, which has been one of our biggest bugbears. We have 42 IPs.
Patents and designs, yeah.
Yeah, patent designs.
Oh, wow.
6 patent families now.
Yeah. So we're big on that because we know how people want to copy. Now with a lot of the things like Top Man and Top Shop have gone, a lot of buyers are finding it hard to buy a garment and go and change it in a certain way. What I've done with Mohun is to actually work around so that people can't copy. So on one of our hangers, we've got so many different patents or design registration that then it makes it very difficult. For instance, we've got one where we actually can put a little string through the hanger and put it through one of the belt loops, so the hanger never comes off the garment until it's purchased. So something as simple as that just helps it when it's from changing room to rail. You take it from rail, go into the changing room, don't like it, you want to put it back, you just give it to an assistant. They can then rehang it and put it back into stock, just like that. So all the way through, we've tried to be smart, design, and make it design attractive. It's really like a big question mark. And now we've got a sizer that slides on. We call it the reload. We come up with all these trendy names, reload, and that means that you can change the size. So what's happening at the moment, and still in places like Primark, they use paper. So when you put the paper on the PP, you can't recycle it. You have to soak it off. So that's another process. So soaking it off, one of the rare commodities out there is water. So you're using something like that to get it this paper off. Now we come, and the sizer that we're putting on the hanger is made of PP. So we've got PP body, PP sizer. So basically, you just put it back in the bin. You can chip it up, and then it's back in the system, which is proving to be very successful. We're just branching out into America. The Americans are around about 3-4 years behind us. So we're talking to people like Walmart that are still trying to get their head around it because they've been used to hanging the garments in a certain way. You need to go into the store and work with the store manager to lay the store out slightly differently. If you went into Marks and Spencer's, you'd see how we've done that, and it's been very, very successful. And that's what we offer to the retailer, that we will actually go in there and advise them how to put it all together so that it is actually very customer friendly. So anyway, we've gone into America. America are about 4 years behind us. And in the last 6 months, we've got a lot of inquiries coming from there. The biggest problem is getting it out of the market. We're actually, we were a London company or UK company. And obviously to travel with the 2 years lockdown, it's been very difficult to put our story across. And now we sell in Australia, and we sell in New Zealand, France, I told you about, but also Russia goes through some of the companies. They've got stores in Russia and things like that. So it just goes to show how it works everywhere, all around the world, South Africa. So it's been very, very good, but very frustrating because we're not allowed to travel, or wasn't allowed to travel. And now everybody is working remotely. So you try and put a new concept across. It's sometimes it feels like you're banging your head up against a brick wall. It's obviously on paper, it looks good, but I've got to be honest with you, hangers aren't the most sexiest thing out there. So you show somebody a hanger and you can see them physically falling asleep in front of you.
I don't know. I think you've piqued my interest. I got a whole bunch of questions. But I was you mentioned IP a few times. Obviously, we want to be talking about that a bit. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about, actually, first of all, how you met Guy and how this all kicked off from your side?
Sure, yes. So I obviously child patent attorney, met Guy in late 2009. We filed our first patent application in early 2010. We've been working together for what feels like a very long time. It is a long time.
That's me.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I've learned a lot more about the retail of garments and manufacture of plastics than I ever thought I'd know. Possibly too much. My wife certainly tells me I talk about it too much. But it's been an interesting journey. As Guy said, we've got several patents in the UK, and then we branched out elsewhere as well. So it's well protected.
What we try to do is cover it across the world, haven't we? So
Yep, absolutely.
So in terms of, for Guy, you've given a lot of kind of insight into the product, but actually I'm going to ask Chris to describe it, because patent attorneys love describing things. Because I think we haven't. I suspect listeners, they know quite a lot about this product, except what it actually kind of looks like and is. So Chris, over to you to specific description.
Well, I think as Guy says, it's question mark shaped.
Yeah.
You've got a hook on the top that goes on the rail.
Oh, we've got a demonstration.
Unfortunately, listeners can't see this one.
No.
And then it's got a stem that comes down, and that goes through a belt loop, folds up to create a closed loop on the bottom with a triangular profile. And then that clips on and hangs onto the rails. So it's a very simple bit of plastic, relatively small, light, but holds quite a lot of weight.
And again, perhaps less patent savvy listeners will be wondering, be surprised you can get patents for such simple stuff, but obviously there's a lot behind all of that makes the big difference.
There is definitely. I mean, I think at the time, 2010, there were people using butcher's hooks to hold things, the S-shaped metal hooks. Have various health and safety issues with small children in stores. So one of the key things is that this folds up to create a closed loop, which is a lot safer. It stays on the jeans rather than falling off. And having that for keeping on the garment from start to finish has been important. And being a closed loop is one of the key things that's got the patents through.
Okay, right, because of the stability and security that brings.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And yeah, Guy and your team, you've been developing and improving the whole time, and so you've not just got the one concept, you've actually got the follow-ons as well.
Yes, we got the follow-ons. We've got 5-6 different shapes now, but it's still with the same principle. This is what Chris was talking about, and it's like a finger. Just fold it down like that, pop it into the nipple. So we've worked around that and then added more details. For instance, this has got This has got at the bottom where the big hole is. Yeah. That's what we call a thumb print. That's so that ladies, when they try the garments on, they can open it without breaking a nail.
Yeah.
So it's much appreciated. Thank you.
But in seriousness, it's something you've got to think about. How you
absolutely.
And it doesn't cost any more money. It's just you put it together, and then to open it, I'm not really showing it very well, but to open it, just press on it and it comes undone. So it's just thumb, not your nail, that's doing it. Whereas if it wasn't like that, you'd have to get your finger in there and do that, and your nail would come off. Yeah,
and you've got to think about the consumer in these scenarios as much as the retailer. It's in addition to how the retailer will store the product and how they'll use it in their stores, it's how the consumer then interacts with that once they've left with the product too.
And the staff in the store as well. If you're hanging up 50 pairs of jeans and you have to keep on clicking open and closed hangers, it certainly takes a toll.
And then, the main thing is also, when you go into a store where we've become very successful, we give them spare sizes, which is that's the size of there. It's called Take it off, and then you want to put another side on. If you go into Marks and Spencer's, you'll see this all the time. So that's the size 10 I've taken off, say, and then I put on another size 8, so that you can resize it. So that the idea again is to make it easy to shop. There's no sharp angles on it, so nobody can really get hurt. You can always use anything as a weapon if you wanted to, but again, for safety reasons, we've done that. And as I say, the customers are loving it because you can get 20% more stock out using this than you can on a clip hanger. Because with a clip hanger, you've got 2 wedges that goes. I'm not more used to this, where you press it, and you've got obviously a metal clip inside each one with rubber on and everything. But that's about that wide. So if you can imagine 2 of those, and then you put them on a rail, then a lot of it is what I call teeth. All the hangers are stopping them from putting any more stock on there. So with ours, it just butts up against it. So you get another one. So we're getting 20% more stock out, which then is increasing their sales because they're never out of size. So you haven't got 28 sizes unless you do menswear and leg length. So on ladies, 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, 20s. So you've got 7 or 8 sizes there. So you can have 5 out of a size. So you're never going to lose a sale. So this is what we try to do. It's with the Earthshot type thing. We are looking to do our best to maximise their sales, minimise their waste on all of it. And it's as I say, it's proven to be done. From box to rail, when you're hanging the things out, it takes no more than the whole box you can put up within 10 seconds, really, because they're already on the garment. They loop into the garment, so they take nothing out. So all you do is grab hold of it, bump, 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 like that. It's so easy. And this is what we found is coming up with all our solutions. They started to love them more and more, and then sort of say, "What are you coming up with next week?" So when you said about our design team, the design team is mainly me and Chris, and we come up with an idea, roughly draw it, send it up to Mohun, and then he says, "Yeah, I think we've got a chance here to get a pattern on it." We don't normally launch anything without a pattern, do we?
Nope.
It's so important to get it, because counterfeiting is one of our biggest problems, which we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Very big problems in the past. And then because we've got it all secured by a patent, and we've got it, as I say, all around the world, up to Canada, America, all through Europe and everything. It costs a lot of money, obviously, to maintain them, but we can actually sleep at night and say, well, how can you do that? You can't do that. We must have a patent on it. And then that's when the trouble starts. It costs back up. But that's with everything now, we walk into places and it's how do you get through the doors? Because so many people have now either retired through lockdown. A lot of the message that we were giving out in 2018, 2019 a lot of those people aren't around anymore, and they're not sitting in front of people, and like we're not. We're all separate areas, but in the country. But if you get in front of the buyer and what we call do the hat and cane routine and show them how it stays on, how much weight it can carry and everything, then we 9 times out of 10 get a trial done, and with that trial, it proves to them that their sales have gone up and their store looks more fashionable. Because if you go into bigger stores like Replay, they hang all their new styles up, and then they have everything racked like your bookcase behind you, all that sort of stuff. So that would be that fit and everything. But if that fits up there, you've got to get somebody to get it down. Whereas if it's on the rail through this, it's a sale straight away. So man hours and everything is a major thing in retail today. So, and also storage space is another thing. So when they take the hanger off the garment, they just store it behind the counter. They don't need 5 or 6 boxes to do that. It's just very easy just to drop that in a box. I mean, you could sell 2,000 garments if you had the right size box.
So looking at the Earthshot Prize then, and we've spoken a lot about how your product's really, really good for the retailer, but looking more at the wider environmental impact, what was it that drew you to the Earthshot Prize and why you submitted a nomination?
I think one of the things is that plastic is here to stay. We're not going to get rid of plastics, particularly in the retail of garments. There's talk of using bamboo hangers, cardboard hangers, but the cost and the energy of constructing these things outweighs plastic massively. When you're going to cut down a tree to make a cardboard hanger and then process it, it actually uses a lot more energy than using plastic. At the back end of that, when you're done with these things, yes, cardboard and bamboo can be stuck in the ground, they'll rot down, but plastics can be reused, especially when it is one single plastic used in the hanger. As Guy mentioned earlier, clip hangers, they've got metal, they've got rubber, they've got 2 types of plastic, they've got a paper sticker on them. So the processing of those to break them all into the constituent parts and reuse those, again, uses a lot more energy. So there's a lot more to look at than just what's the raw material, how much energy is used, how much water is used, carbon footprint of transporting these things. So in terms of the Earthshot, it feels like there is something very significant here in that we have a closed loop system. You can take back the hangers, you can grind them up, make them into road cones, whatever else it might be, reuse them to make hangers. And that's more environmentally friendly overall than sticking them in a container and transporting them back to the Far East to put back on garments, which feels a bit weird, but actually the carbon footprint, putting them in a container, massive.
Just to give you one fact, with one of our customers, we do over 5 million of my hanger, the smaller one, the thinner one, slimline. And we've saved, just on that 5 million, we've sold more to them than that, but just if you take 5 million as a benchmark, we've saved them 269 tons of plastic.
Wow.
Lot.
That's fantastic. And as you said, Guy, it's not always the glamorous stuff that actually makes the difference.
Correct.
You've been in this business, you know every aspect of it, by the sound of it, the whole supply chain. And what you're doing is you're identifying all the improvements all the way along. And any one of those sounds good. Presumably, you add the whole up, and there's a really good story when you put it all together. Not for, as Lucy said, for the consumer, for the retailer, but also hopefully on the sustainability front, it's a nice touch as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I started off life as a designer for jeans, and so jeans have always been in my blood. So I'm known as a jean guru, if I'm patting myself on the back. But I've worked for a lot of big companies, and I did Easy Jeans with Brian Robson, Captain Marvelous, and we were riding really high, and we were selling big quantities of our own brand, and then we come up against Next that do their own brand and everything like that. There's a lot of jeans, that's ladies, men's and kids wear, plus cargo pants and everything, that using these clip hangers that are actually doing us no favours at all. But the main thing is that the retailers were liking us purely because of the cost. Now they understand all the other bits that we come up with, which is what we've got actually a book that we send out, and the other slogan is let's not hang about, start saving now. Another thing is like time to make a change. But where we see the Earthshot, we wanted to apply and say this is what we're doing, because we did another seminar, didn't we, where people had to come up with ideas how to reduce down plastic and save the world and everything, and people coming up with stupid things that can never make a difference. This makes a difference. If you get into Walmart will buy on this one 200 million hangers. Now, if they're using a clip hanger and using that, how many tons would we save plastic if they bought?
Actually, I think on that note, there are 8 to 10 billion hangers that end up in landfill every year.
Every year?
That's full
Every
Empire State Buildings full of hangers.
Even in the list.
So if we can tap into that, reduce some of that plastic, make a save on what's going into landfill.
Yeah,
that's got to be helpful.
And this is why with the Earthshot thing is that we said, look, we've got to try and find a way of how to promote this to large retailers. If you've got a little shop in Kettering or Northampton or somewhere like, you're not going to save the world and help the plastic problem. But if you've got a contact in Walmart and Walmart say, this is brilliant, we buy 50 million, then we see how it goes, then we buy 100 million over the course of a whole year, fully through all their departments, you could sell them 200 million. You're saving a lot of plastic, and it's saving a lot of trucking around the world, which is obviously carbon and everything, and a lot of other natural resources. So it needs to be promoted from the UK base to now worldwide base, and say, look, come to us, we've got the answers, and it's been proven. We're the first company, as far as I'm aware, that did this. And we did prove to everybody, just because compliance in Marks and Spencer, they've got compliance and everything like that. So we can now give those people
the environmental report.
And say, look, it's already here. You don't have to do the work. The work's been done. But it's getting across that threshold and saying, look, it's Guy Taylor here. I own the Janger. This is the reasons why I did it. Of course, we're not going to totally get all the clip hanger business, because that's sometimes on leggings. There's no belt loops or anything like that. So they don't have to use it. So, but if we could cut down that usage of the clip hanger by 50%, we're talking about doing a lot for what we're all talking about, is reducing down plastic, carbon footprint, everything.
You mentioned one issue a couple of times there that springs to mind based on, the simplicity of this, which is the ease of copying it. I mean, once you've seen it, you can presumably go make a mold somewhere and knock them out. I'm going to go back to the IP side. Chris, presumably you've got to take some quite pragmatic views about how to protect this, because it must be pretty easy to put a factory together somewhere to crack on. So how's it been going?
It's been interesting. So there was one high street retailer that their factories were slipping in counterfeit hangers, and there are markings on the Jangers that show what's authentic and what's not. So I think probably around 30% of the hangers they were using were counterfeit. And of course, you go to the store and they deny all knowledge. So we had to ramp things up. And there was one point where they said, if you don't like what we're doing, then sue us. So, of course, we ended up in the IPEC, as you do. And well, long and short of it is that we have to say we got a result that we were very happy with. It settled before it went to trial, the day before trial.
But presumably, part of the issue is it's not just that they're copying the invention, they're also they're not copying or replicating the environmental work that you put into it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there were certainly questions over where these had come from, these counterfeits. A lot of the high street retailers have audits on factories where these things are made. But if there's counterfeits getting in there are questions over what the factory was doing. Were they keeping up to proper standards? Was there child labour involved? So it's a bit more than just, you've nicked our idea. There are some ethical issues in there as well.
And so you got a raft of rights as well. You've got a few patents out there, but you've also got the design stuff as well. So does this all come in useful?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. One of the main parts of the first case was the design protection, and the trademarks as well, because they copied everything, even down to the name.
As a full-on counterfeiting. So you've got police options, haven't you? You've got PIPCO and all that kind of thing, so you can. Yeah.
To be honest, there are lots of options out there, but the IPEC was the best route on that occasion.
That's good. We had Judge Haken on this podcast, so there you go. We could have asked him about it. There we go.
Absolutely.
I think the main thing is because it's so easy, but also because I've been in the fashion world, I've had T-shirts copied from my designs, things like this from all the big sort of organisations that you can think of, and all they have to do is have to change it by 5 different processes to say it's theirs. You can't do that really with this. So it's, you're always going to need a hook. You can't register that, but the reload and the hole here for the string, thumbprint, as I say, that's like a finger. So we designed that ages ago. Nobody can get around that. And there are copies out there. They're not nowhere. Obviously, I'm going to say this, but they're nowhere near as good as mine. But that's because we were the first one to get the finger in. So if you get that like that, it's as tight as anything. And also it supports the 2 belt loops. So the jean hangs up higher. When it's just a continual loop, the jean just falls forward. So unless you've got a full rail, it looks as though the jean's ruined. I was going to say knackered. I'm not too sure. Well, I'm allowed to. If it hangs down like that, it just doesn't have the hanger appeal. So that's why we liked it, because it supports the garment, and the garment comes from the hanger, and it comes away like that. So, and it's easy to flick through to see the wash you want and the colour and find the size, which other size is on here. So it's with all those ideas we've come up with, we've made sure that we've signed, sealed, and delivered it.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, on the design front, there's not a lot of design freedom in a hook. A hook is a hook, but below the hook, there are so many different options. But because this is so simple and uses so much less plastic from other hangers, there's been something in there that's given us an edge, being first to market and having the designs registered.
I think also, just to jump in on exactly that, is that a lot of big retailers have already got big contracts with these hangers peoples. There's a few major hanger manufacturers out there, and they've signed them up. They're allowed to bring in, say, 2% outside that agreement, but that's it. And a lot of the retailers have not been bothered about Earthshot or anything like Earthshot or anybody where they're worrying about the environment. They've just gone, we do it. It's easy. We do it.
Cost is king.
Cost is, and a lot of people have been in that same job, so buying hangers for a long time that just wouldn't look outside. And now some of those people have gone. Now we've got new people coming in because people have retired or whatever. They've moved off and gone to another job. But now the Janger is being looked at because of our eco side. And our eco side is the bit that we have to put through and do it quite firmly and say, look, come and have a look at us. Maybe we, however we do it, trade shows or not. There's no point in going if those big retailers aren't going to come and turn up, because our angle is volume. So take the volume from the clip hanger and put it to the Janger. That's where your savings are. You can actually make a list. And, as I said, if you went into Marks and Spencer's, you'll see most of the ladies and now the men's and kids wear, not so much kids wear, they're all on the Janger's cost, right, brilliant, but they just like the way it hangs and they like the way how it's shopped. So they've been converted over, but it has taken us since 2019 to get into Marks and Spencer's. So we started in 2010. So it's a 9-year pushing a steamroller uphill to get where we want to be. As soon as we stop, it rolls back. That's why I'm 6 foot tall. So you can see the jokes are coming out there. So,
that's what we like.
Look out, here we come. So it's now pushing us out into those other retailers, and we have spoken to Walmart, and we have spoken to people like Old Navy out there. But with the breakup of the 2 years, it's just been, well, we'll get back to you. And now we're just sort of pushing quite hard. But I'm sure with the Earthshot sort of thing, it would give us a chance to get a platform to stand up there and start shouting. And it also, because about that other seminar, a lot of the ideas people come up with don't work. This works. This is proven. 69 tons of plastic being saved. It doesn't go for. All we need is a calculator to work out how much you can save, and then that's got to be one of the biggest pats on the back for any Earthshot type of contestant to actually make sure it works and then do some good.
Absolutely.
I think, like a lot of small businesses, it's having that platform to make people aware. And if you don't get your product known, you don't get the sales, you don't get out there.
Yeah. This leads on brilliantly to a question that I had. So that's a very, very good transition. Thank you. So the idea of the Earthshot is to really inspire a lot of new green innovators to see the types of things that they could develop. What would your advice be to those small, medium-sized companies that are looking to develop their own green solutions?
I'll go on that. I think the main thing is if you're going to do this, you've got to do it with a view of making money. You can't do it if you're not going to make money, because it costs so much to develop. There's always new things coming out now. With ours, it's my money, so we put the money into the business. I'm sole owner of the company, so what I say goes. Whereas if you with people where you're getting finance from outside and you're not making any money, it takes you too long to make some money, or even look as though you're going to make some money. Money's not all the be and end all, but you've got to make sure that your cash flow is good enough to push it through to market, and then make sure that you've got a firm market base. Now, one of your Earthshot people that won the seaweed.
Not plug, yeah.
Yeah, what a great idea. But it's, as he said, his mum and dad were paying for him to exist while it got off the ground. So, if that's the case, then now I would imagine there must be manufacturers that would love to steal his idea, but he maybe can get funding from them. But it's very difficult to get funding if you don't have a market that you can say that's who's going to buy it. So you just have to firm down your ideas and try not to go left or right, go straight down the middle where you want to be. And that's where we've done it. And we've had some rocky times. But all the time we've been growing. So can your business grow? And if it does grow, what's the effect it's going to give you? And that's really all I can say really on that. I don't know whether that's clear enough. But
no, it's really clear, and it backs up something, Chris, you've probably seen this over the years as well, doing a lot of patents and a lot of inventors, is that it's not quite the dreamy world of I've just had a great idea, I'm going to make a few £1 million. It's really sad. The number of meetings I've had where I've had to break that to someone to say that is quite a good idea. How are you going to get it to market? Because if you're worried about how much a patent attorney costs, you should see how much research, development, and marketing are going to cost going forward. And I think sometimes even government, the patent office here, they're getting better, but they're a little bit misty-eyed sometimes about the reality of it. You've got to have a good idea. I mean, what you had, guys, a knowledge of the market, and you sat there thinking there's something wrong with what's going on, and I can make a massive difference. And then realistically, you also had a few contacts, which doesn't do any harm to know the right people to talk to. So,
correct.
Not to say that does not detract anything from the scale of the idea. It's just you need that leg up sometimes, and that's one of the issues that I think a lot of innovators get pretty disappointed by when they come up with an idea where they don't know enough about what's going on or what to do with it, and it's quite a shame.
I think you've hit that on the head. There are so many fantastic inventions that I've seen, you'll have seen, every patent attorney will have seen, possibly protected, and they fall by the wayside. Whether it's, as you say, the lack of connections, the lack of drive, more like the lack of money. And it's not until someone is making money off a product that you'll get investment. There are so many investors that will invest when you're making money, but very few that will throw the money in at the very start.
I think one of my first questions actually is normally this invention, is it in your field of work? Is it something that you know about anyway? And I'm glad I asked that for the bloke who had an improvement to Formula One cars. Are you involved in the car business? No, never made one.
Yeah, it's only an idea, yeah.
I think we're going to move towards the end here. First of all, Lucy, thank you so much. Brilliant standing work. Lee, you're in trouble. We've got Neil and Lucy at your heels now as pros. So thanks so much for your input and your preparation there. Jen, thank you also very much. Guy, great to hear the story. Shame not everyone can see the Janger and its complete simplicity, which is, tells such a story. It's just so compact. It's amazing. And Chris,
if you go to Marks and Spencer's, you can go and have a fiddle with them in there.
There you go. Yeah. Leave a few casually lying around. Yeah. And Chris, nice to see you, and thanks very much for that. And it's always nice to see these teams together. The inventor and the attorney working together so well. It's great to see. And I know you're both off for a drink now, which I'm quite jealous about. So I think quite good. We always end up with a question, and I'm going to cheat and use one we've actually used before. If you win the Earthshot Prize, one of the things that apparently Prince William offers is the opportunity to basically open his address book and talk to one of his contacts around the world, which basically means pretty much anyone. So, Guy, you can give a sense of serious or a silly answer, but if he gives you that, who do you want to talk to?
Well, if there's one person that could put me all around the world, then it'd be that person. But I probably would have known of that person, but don't really know, and I don't want to say anything silly.
That's the best response to one of these questions.
We are talking about the future king, so off with his head. Really, it'd be the person that, because I don't have a name, but otherwise I'd have already driven them mad, because that's one thing that Chris and I do. We say that, if we've got a target, let's go for them, try and get them whichever way we can.
Yeah.
So...
I think with all the partners of the Earthshot, there are a few people in there that would be useful to make contact with, particularly Walmart.
Nice.
Wanted to get, that would be very useful.
Chris, you have to give a silly answer. Who would you do?
Who would I do?
You're gonna have your head cut
I'm
off.
already on a call with you, Gwilym, so it seems like a waste of time, doesn't it?
Oh, wish I thought of that.
Yeah, very smooth. I like this.
Yeah, I like that.
Lucy?
Oh no, I've done so well up to this point, and now I've got to think on my feet.
We always people.
I know. I knew this question. I knew there would be a question coming, and I couldn't think. It'd have to be something really silly, wouldn't it? If you could talk to it, but it's the question. Oh, if you could have any famous person to dinner, who would you have? And I never know how to respond. Oh gosh.
My wife would take seconds to say The Rock. She wouldn't even think about it.
Well, it depends if you want to jump up the ladder. We could get you the membership name at Soho House and get you in as a VIP.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Then you can do your podcast in Soho House on a Friday afternoon, swinging your hips and jumping in the pool.
That would be a very different podcast, I think.
Let's do that.
Before they get any more ideas of where I need to book next for the podcast, yes.
Well, good luck with the product. It sounds like a deservedly brilliant message, and let's hope we break America. That'd be really cool. That's what everyone wants to do. Beatles managed it. Here we go. Yeah, the Janger follows. I love that. And obviously good luck as well with the Earthshot Prize. It is good to hear that that's useful to you, and it's what you're doing. As you say, you're in business, you're making something, but you've got that benefit of actually being able to point to all those extra advantages it brings. What's not to like? It's fantastic. So congratulations on that. It's been great meeting both of you, and good luck with it all.
Well, listen, thank you very much for talking to us.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.